today we're here with Tony Copeland. Mr. Copeland is a Vietnam veteran, and we're just going to jump right in and start at the beginning. Mr. Copeland, if you will, if you want to just give us your name and let us know, what branch of service you served in, and maybe your service dates, and let's start at there. How you got into the service?
How I got into the service? Well, that's a little different from most folks. While I was in college, a lot of my friends were getting drafted into the Army, and they were getting sent to Vietnam. And I said, well, I don't like camping a lot.
No, I'm going to get on the computer and do some genealogy research.
And I don't like the ocean. So I said, I don't want to go to the Army. Don't want to go to the Navy. So I went to the Air Force. And I guess that's pretty good. The next thing I know, I was sent to the Philippines. And I guess I was there's 4 of us who went together out of tech school. Our training. And about 2 months later, I said, oh, you're going to Vietnam. Holy mackerel.
So were you frightened?
Not really. We kind of looked at it as an adventure. I guess we was too young and dumb.
Yeah. About how old were you when you went in?
I was, I signed up when I was 19.
When you were 19? And,
went to Vietnam, I was barely 20.
Wow, you were young. So you said that you went into the Air Force, and your first stop was the Philippines. Was there, what was it like there? Was there anything going on there? Were they involved?
Philippines, Clark Air Base was heavily involved. A lot of the material that was flown into Vietnam came through there. Plus the wounded and injured come back, came to Clark, the majority of them. Some went to Japan. Their hospital stayed pretty busy. It's a huge hospital. And we used to get asked to donate blood, especially myself and one of my close friends. We both had A negative blood, which they was always in short supply of, which every time they came up needing additional donors, we was glad to go ahead and do that. In fact, they cut it down to where normally it was every 6 weeks before you could donate, and they cut it down to every 4 weeks, I guess. And that's how we kind of got involved with what was going on in Vietnam by the effects we were seeing of people coming back,
Right.
and the material going out.
Right. And how long were you there?
In the Philippines, all totaled, 12 months.
Okay. So you kind of got a good feel for what you were going into during that 12 months.
I've seen a lot of things going in and coming out.
Yeah. Anything in particular that that really stood out to you that you remember today that from your time in the Philippines? Any particular things that you saw leaving or anybody coming in that?
The ambulances going to the flight line and back. There was a lot of those.
Did you, so while you were there, were you learning to fly still? I mean, were you learning at that point how?
We were attached to the 5th TCMS, which is Tactical Control and Maintenance Squadron, which we took care of generators, whether they were portable or stationary. Small generators all up to huge monsters. And primarily we were servicing this equipment, and it was being shipped to Vietnam. And sometimes we'd get stuff back that needed to be completely rebuilt.
Now, when you actually went to Vietnam, did you go as a pilot or as a
No.
you were part of the ground crew?
Yes, power production is what we're called.
Okay.
We supplied electricity,
Okay.
not only for, your lighting and general purpose electricity, but it's also what they call 400 cycle for radio gear. They say if your home uses 60 cycle power. So we also took care of some radio gear power.
How about, I guess that's a lot of the behind the scenes.
It's something a lot of people don't, they take it for granted. You got flip a switch and the light comes on.
Right.
Where does that power come from?
Right. Well, and I guess, you see the war stories about, different, in Vietnam in particular, and you see that they have, different type of electrical things, and I've often wondered, now how in the world do they get power?
They just plug it into the wall. It's magic.
So did you actually visit these places that you would supply power to? This is just really fascinating to me, because were these places, close, some of these places were probably close to the line, were they not?
The last place I was at was from 7 miles from the DMZ.
And, and so, they're kind of like semi-permanent. If you're pumping power into somewhere, do they not become a target at that point?
Yeah, well, yes.
So you were constantly having to do repairs?
Hopefully the equipment would hold up well. Not always the case.
Yeah, I know here, we have power lines strung, Was that the case there as well? How did...
Not like here in the States, no. If you had any power lines, they were short. Because unless you got into large areas like around Saigon. That was a huge base. But my job there, and the three friends I had with me, we took care of outlying areas, small generators, and we also repaired them there at that site there, Saigon, Tonsanut Air Base. And I spent 2 months there. Then Tom Banks and I shipped up to Benoit Air Base. Actually, we were separate from the base, assigned to a Army Specialist Group, Special Forces. They had a small compound off base. We took care of their power, and then we had almost 20 different small radar sites and communication sites scattered all over the country. And the only way to get most of them was by helicopter. So in the mornings we'd see which site needed generator service. Then the helicopters would take off from Benoit Air Base, and if they weren't full, they would sit down behind our compound. So you'd run up to a helicopter, ask them where they was going, and you find the one going where you wanted to. If they had room, you jumped on. So away you went. And you got to the site, done what was necessary to the equipment to get it going, and hopefully there was something going back that afternoon.
So you never knew.
No.
When you
Sometimes
got up in the
you
morning.
had to spend the night or two, whatever it took, before another helicopter or some places had a small landing field
Oh my
to
goodness.
get a plane in.
So how many times did you actually have to spend the night out like that?
Several.
Were there provisions there for you? Or did you just have to take stuff with you in case?
No, there was people there,
Okay.
and they said, they always find a place for you to sleep,
Okay.
something to eat.
Oh, Well, I guess I was thinking that these were like these spots were remote and they weren't manned or anything.
Oh, no,
So
they were manned. Yes.
Okay. Now the generators themselves, I get hung up on little things they just fascinate me. But I know generators here today. You know, I mean, when I think of a generator, I think of something you go buy in case the power goes out and you can generate your whole house. So
We had
it's
some.
along the same line.
We had some of those, and we had some that, I don't know, they were no bigger than maybe a lawnmower.
Is that right?
Very small.
So were they gasoline powered?
Gasoline, some were diesel. The ones that produced 400 cycles for radio gear, those could burn anything.
Is that right?
They liked jet fuel because they were turbines.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had to, you could put diesel in them or gasoline, kerosene.
Really? So, I mean, see, now this just fascinates me. How did you get your fuel there? I mean, did you have like a big tank buried somewhere there? I mean, this just takes a lot of preparation to...
You go down to a local kangaroo and buy down a can. No, it all has to be shipped in.
Right. So did you have like, I mean, this
The
just...
fuels people took care of that.
So that was just a whole different...
Yeah, that wasn't part of my
That
job.
was a whole different unit. Well, that's just amazing. You don't think about all the different things that go into making the sites work. So were there like big tanks there buried in the ground? Or?
Most of the portable ones had an internal tank. It was part of the package.
Wow.
You get into the larger ones, then you have to look at a separate fuel supply.
But you didn't ever have to worry about refueling or anything. You just did the electrical parts of it.
Well, I'd get hold of fuel people and tell them I needed some fuel, and they would get it to me.
Okay.